Hey there guys, welcome back to Skirmish Miniature Gaming. It's Luke here. I'm back with Baby Yoda. And I'm back to give you another Warcry review. The last one, I believe, actually, for the latest wave, and probably will ever do. So sad. It's been hard work doing all these reviews, but it's been worth it. I believe probably is tomorrow, if not the day after that, and by the time this comes out, we've got a 12-hour live stream. I'm going to give it a mention, 14th of March on the Saturday. 12-hour live stream of content. We've got Kill Team, but we've got mostly Warcry on the day. Triumph and Treachery finale, 6-way versus with new warbands factions in there. Join us for it. Set a reminder for the battle reports you want to watch on the day, and please go and check out in the link in the description below to donate towards the fantastic causes we're raising money for with this 12-hour stream. We've got mind.org towards mental health awareness, and we've got Three Spires Gaming, who are a community group in the UK helping people through mental health issues, giving them a place to feel safe, and obviously throw down some dice and obviously help them through their issues. I wanted to pick this cause because I've had friends and family that have been through issues with it. I've had many people in my life affected by it. I've been affected by things with mental health problems. Worrying is just such a generally bad thing. There's just got to be a place for people to have an outlet and someone to talk to. And it's just such a fantastic cause, guys. I'm sure all of you have interacted with mental health at some point. Please consider giving something as little as £2, €2.50, $3. That's the minimum you can give, but please do give as much as you can. Don't just be the guy that kind of sits there, or girl that sits there and doesn't do anything. Drop into the link in the description below and give what you can, and you could be helping save a life. Really is that simple. But I will get into this one now, guys. Thanks for listening to me and babbling on about that, but you got to push for these things. So Hedonites of Slaanesh, the very last review I'm doing. Don't ask me why I left this till last. I've just done them in the order I've pulled them out in. Fighter types for the Hedonites of Slaanesh. The only Chaos Demon Mortal Warband that's combined both demons and mortals into one card pack. Slaanesh have never had as much support for mortals as the other three gods, Chaos gods, and it doesn't surprise me that they've combined the two. Does this make them a stronger faction? We'll find that out by the end. We'll go over that at the end, but fighter options, Demonettes. The first, they've got 4 different fighter options, unit types. Demonettes are your normal demons for Slaanesh. Very quick. Slaanesh are known for being, and also very, alluring. They've always had very controversial models and miniatures in the game as well, so that kind of shows that. You've got the Seekers. These are your Demonettes riding like these cavalry models, very quick. Hellstriders are your mortal option for the Slaanesh. These are your mortal Slaanesh followers riding, once again, those... I can't remember what the actual cavalry are called, guys. The Seekers, I guess. Let me know if the actual cavalry have name like the monsters they're riding. I think they might just be called Seekers as a whole. But yeah, the Hellstriders are the mortal version. And then you got Fiends. Fiends are the coolest thing in this warband. And they have 2 abilities. That's not a thing that happens very often. Their icon has 2 specific abilities that only Fiends can use. So Fiends are going to be a big part of this warband. We'll go through that after. But we'll go through the abilities now. Fiends are like beasts. You can see them above. You should be able to see what they look like. Onto the abilities for the Slaanesh. You have a generic double that any of the fighters can choose to use. Lithe and Swift. Add half the value of this ability rounding up to the move characteristic of this fighter. For the next move action, they make this activation. For Slaanesh, you've got a generic movement of 5. I feel like Slaanesh should be even quicker than this. Fire Slayers have a buff to get +3 movement for 1 action for a double. I personally feel like Slaanesh should be even quicker than that, but you know, I mean, that's only 1 more move than a rush would give you a generic ability. I don't know, I feel like they could have given you the full value maybe, because they should be ridiculously quick. Either that or, like, since it's only for 1 action, you know. If it was for... I think if they'd have made it half the ability rounding up and add that to the move characteristic until the end of your activation, so both actions get that buff, I think that would have been that would have been better for Slaanesh. feel like they should be the quickest thing out there, really. Let me know what you think about that in the comments, but it's still not too bad, is it? I mean, you get a 3-inch buff. Then you've got a double for Sadistic Killers. Now, Sadistic Killers is for the Demonettes and the Seekers, because the Demonettes are riding the Seekers, so, or the Cavalry. So, add 1 to the damage points allocated by each hit and critical hit from attack actions made by this fighter. This activation have a range characteristic of 3 or less. So obviously this is for both attack actions if you're already in combat. These abilities are really nice. You know, you're adding 1 to every hit and critical hit. Your strength 3 for demons, really, but the Seekers I think are going to be the same as well. Let me just have a quick peek. I can't see them right in front of me, but there we go. Yes, strength 3. So yeah, it's not too bad, but you're unlikely to hit a lot of things unless you're up against a much simpler faction. But yeah, an interesting one, definitely one you could use against some factions. Not bad at all. Now we go on to the Fiends of Slaanesh, because the Fiends have 2 different abilities they can use. One is this double crushing grip, because they have their talons, their grippers. Pick a visible enemy fighter within 1 inch of this fighter and roll a dice on a 2+. Until the end of this battle round, that fighter cannot make move or disengage actions. So this is another one of those kind of netting abilities. I don't like the ones where you're within 1 inch of an opponent, but they can come in handy. And the Fiends, to be honest, are, I think, yeah, they're pretty damn quick. They're 8-inch movement, so you can get in your opponent's face pretty quick, stop one of their fighters from activating and moving away too early on. It's not bad at all for a double, that one, really. For the Fiends. For some factions I don't understand it quite so much, but for them I can understand it. Triple Impaling Strike. This is for the Hellstriders, because as far as I'm aware in their lore, they kind of usually have like the massive pikes. So they're really quick, they impale you, coming in very quickly off the flanks, I would assume. Until the end of this fighter's activation, the next time this fighter finishes a move action within 1 inch of an enemy fighter, cause the damage to the value of the dice, etc, etc. So we've seen this one many times. You finish your move action within 1 inch of an enemy fighter, you cause the damage on the triple, equal to the value. Lots of factions have this now. Boring. Move on. It is a nice thing to have, especially with cavalry, because you've got a lot of movement. It's always something nice to have in there. Triple for the leader ability. Locus of Excruciation. Until the end of the battle round, add 1 to the strength characteristic of attack actions that have a range characteristic of 3 or less, made by friendly fighters whilst they're within 6 of this fighter. So your leader can give off that aura for 6 inches to add 1 to the strength of your fighters. So that does come back, obviously, to what I was saying about the Demonettes and the Seekers having low strength. You can buff that strength. I mean, the Seekers are likely to be much further ahead of you with that movement, but, does make it better for using Sadistic Killers, though, if you've got somebody within that leader aura. You could put a leader on a Seeker, though, because you can take a leader Seeker so they could keep up with the fight. Not a bad call. And obviously the Demonettes can catch up with that extra movement anyway with Lithe and Swift, so... Then we go on to the quad ability. This is the second ability that only Fiends of Slaanesh can use. Definitely why I'm saying take Fiends, because they have the majority of your abilities that they can use. So Deadly Venom, until the end of this fighter's activation, add half the value of this ability rounding up to the damage points allocated by critical hits from attack actions made by this fighter. In addition, after each attack action made by this fighter, roll a dice on a 5+. Until the end of this battle round, the target fighter cannot make move or disengage actions. So it's Deadly Venom, isn't it? So your Fiends are obviously like Scorpion Tails. So they have the ability to add half the value to damage, which is brutal. And that's till the end of the fighter's activation. That's not just the next attack action, actually. So that's pretty brutal. You can get 5 or 6 value on the dice. You are going to be causing +3 for rounding up half damage per hit and critical hit for both attack actions if you've got 2 loads. And Fiends are pretty brutal as well. We'll show you those later on. Keep that quad in mind, considering what output they have for damage. Anyway, on a 5+ then as well, after attacking and using it, you can then stop them moving or disengaging. So that is brutal. That is a nasty quad. That is very unique as well for them. I really like it. Definitely makes the Fiends worth taking as the centre point of this warband and this faction. Loving it. Definitely looks awesome. Really can't wait to try out some Fiends. That is the abilities though for the Slaanesh. I'm sorry I'm losing my voice. I've done a few of these reviews today. But we've got, starting off with the fighters above me, you should see them here. We've got 75 point Demonette option, so these are your standard demons. They obviously have that sadistic killers for the adding damage to hits and crits. They can obviously get buff in movement as well. So move 5, toughness 3, because all demons are toughness 3, 10 health, range 1 attack, 4 attack, strength 3, 1/4 damage. So if you're adding to their damage capability with that double as well, 4 attacks on 1/4 damage goes up to 5 damage. Not bad. 145 points for the leader option, who goes up to 20 health but the same toughness. Range 1 attack, 5 attacks, strength 3, 2/4 damage. That's brutal for a leader. That is really nice. You can buff that with all sorts going on there as well. I really like that leader option. For 145 points, she seems like an absolute tank. I would definitely consider taking her. We'll then go on to the Fiends of Slaanesh, the stars of the warband. 150 points for the standard Fiend. 8 movement, buff that to 11 for the first move with the generic double lithe and swift. Toughness 3, 30 health for the generic fighter. Range 1 attack, 4 attacks, strength 3, 1/4 damage. So if you buff that with the quad deadly venom, you're looking at some really nasty damage output for their attack actions. 220 points for the leader edition for 35 health, 5 attacks instead of the 4. Strength 3, 2/4 damage, so better base damage as well. Definitely worth considering taking that leader option as well, but obviously more expensive there, to be honest. I'll leave it down to you. Personally, I'd take 2 standard Fiends. You could try the leader now and again, but 2 or 3 standard Fiends in the warband for sure. High movement, high damage output capability, and they're all capable of using that quad. Then we go on to the Seekers. These are the Demonettes riding the cavalry. So obviously they're cavalry units. They can also use the Demonette ability like Sadistic Killers for that extra damage output. 130 points for the standard fighter. 20 health, 10 movement, really quick like I said. Toughness 3 still. Range 1 attack, 4 attacks, strength 3, 1/4 damage. So the damage output and attacks capability is similar to like your Demonettes, but you've got more movement. You know what, out of most cavalry options you've got out there at the moment for Warcry, Seekers are pretty good actually. They're not bad at all. I would definitely consider taking them for the buffs you can give them as well. You can get 13 movement on the first move. You're getting these guys across the battlefield pretty quick, these ladies. So yeah, definitely would consider taking that. You've got the leader option, 205 points. 30 health instead, but they go up to 5 attacks, strength 3, 2/4 damage. So once again, you just get those increases. Not a bad option as a leader either. We then go on to the final options in the warband. The Hellstriders, I believe. Yeah, they are the last options. So these are your mortal riders for the Knights of Slaanesh. So interesting. 145 points for the spear and shield option. These guys can obviously end their movement and cause that kind of charge damage for a triple. You've got a movement of 10 still, like the Seekers. Toughness 4, however. You do go up in toughness because of the shields that you're holding, and just the fact that you're wearing armour also. 20 health. Range 2 because of the pike, that's important as well. 3 attacks, strength 3, 1/4 damage. They don't have the sadistic killers, but they do have that option to charge and cause that damage. The leader option for them is 235 points, goes up to 30 health, toughness 4, range 2 attacks, 4 attacks, strength 4, 2/4 damage. Once again, interesting leader option, very expensive though, 235 points there, very expensive for a leader option. I think I'd rather take the normal Seeker, but toughness 4 with 30 health is why you're getting such a points increase there. 145 points then for the Horn model, Hornblower, on the Hellstrider. I'm surprised that they didn't give this model a specific ability. It seems like the model's a bit wasted without it. Having said that, They do have the whole range 3 attack going on because they have that, like I say, that different weapon in their hand. So they've got toughness 4, 20 health, range 3 attack, 4 attack, strength 3, 1/3 damage. So maybe taking one of them in there for 145 points is an option, but they don't have the symbol to use the Hellstrider Pike damage ability. They only have the Cavalry rune mark and the Slaanesh rune mark for Lithe and Swift. So I don't know whether I would end up taking that model for them, to be honest. It's a cool looking model, but beyond that, the range 3, why not just take a range 2 model and have the option to use the Pike ability, to be honest. Yeah, that is all the fire options, guys. Hedonites of Slaanesh, as far as demons go, I haven't played against them, seen anything of them, so I can't really talk except for just having looked at the abilities and the fighter options. They seem, to be honest, like one of the weaker warbands, and I'm gonna maybe eat my words with that in terms of, in terms of warbands compared to the other demon warbands. I don't know what it is, but there's something about them that just doesn't ring competitive compared to the other warbands. I think they're still going to be very good. The Fiends of Slaanesh I definitely recommend taking. They have those 2/3, maybe even 4 if you take the leader ability options. That Deadly Venom could be really nasty. But, you know, toughness is fairly low across most of the warband. They have nice options. They have a nice few options. And they look like they're going to be a really fun warband to play. But if you're comparing them to the other demon warbands, there's something about them that makes me think they might not quite keep up with them. But I'm not entirely sure on that one, just from a perspective point of view, having reviewed the others so far. I think the generic abilities and fighter abilities for them aren't quite there. That being said, they do have the capability for a lot of movement. You can still take fairly cheap demons and swarm the field with those, and then you've got the option for those fiends in there. So if you built a whole demonettes list with maybe a few fiends in there, that could be quite a competitive list, I think, to be fair. So maybe I eat my words a little on that. The demonette leader option is a really nice leader option, very strong for the points. So yeah, they seem really good. I'd say mid-tier-ish if you're talking from a competitive standpoint. If you want to buy a warband with a lot of unit options, kind of like a lot of differentiation in there, probably again about mid-tier for that. You know, the Fiends take up a lot of the abilities, etc., but they've got a lot of choice in there. Let me know in the comments what you think, guys. What's your own opinion at the end of the day? What do you think about them? Have you had a lot of success with them? Have people beaten you with them? I suppose it comes down to the player as well, and your knowledge on playing them, and essentially getting used to your warband and making the most out of them. We'll hopefully have Slaanesh on the channel at some point. Obviously there are a lot of new factions to cover, so we release reports every week, so do subscribe if you're new, and check out all the other reviews that I've put up for the other factions, because they're all out now. So go and check those out for the first wave and the second wave. I think at some point I've missed Archonites actually, but I haven't had hold of the cards for them yet, so at some point I'll throw that review out there if I've get hold of those. But thanks for watching, guys. Like I say, also for tomorrow, check out the 14th of March, Saturday 12-hour stream for mental health awareness, rolling for mental health. We're going to have tons of awesome games up, like I said at the start. Please do consider going to the link in the description below to go to the Just Giving page, give even a small donation to help support the cause, because starting tomorrow I want to already have us close to that target, and then we can smash it on the day with the live stream. If you're waiting to obviously for the day to give funds, fair enough, I can understand that, because you want to see us put the content out there and give our promise first. I completely understand that. Please do enjoy the day, and hopefully I'll see you there in the comments. But otherwise, happy skirmishing.